What's up, everyone? We're back. It's Packers Daily. It's a new look. Same studio, same time, same Cheesehead TV social channels. All for you guys. Thanks for following along on Extra Cheese last week as I used my makeshift setup with my laptop. But I'm back in the studio. Danielle's behind the glass taking care of all the technical know-how mumbo-jumbo that I don't know anything about. Good to see everybody again. We're back on YouTube, on Facebook, and we're Twitter. We want to be where you people are, Packers fans worldwide. We're here for you. Good to see you again. And as you can see, as it says right here, 10 days until the NFL draft. It can't get here soon enough. It takes so long to get to the draft. Speaking of the draft, as I put up on Twitter this afternoon, if you are in the New York City area and you wish to spend an afternoon drinking and talking NFL draft, Packers football, and really anything else that comes into our cabasis, please join me. I'll be watching the draft live at Kettle of Fish, the best Packers bar in the city on Christopher Street. If you are not familiar, please find Kettle of Fish on Christopher Street on your old Google Maps and come on down. Starting about 2 o'clock Eastern Time on Saturday, April 27th. I'll be there for the duration of the day, from the time they start the fourth round right up until the Packers' last pick. I'll be going live periodically, shooting some very quick social stuff for video. But for the most part, I'll be hanging out, drinking beer, talking football. And like I said, if you're in the New York City area, please come on by, join me as we watch the Packers form the remainder at that point of their 2019 draft class. Hello to everybody on the live chat. Cliff, starting off very, I guess, what would the word be? Hopeful, saying 10 days until Ed Oliver is a Packer. From your comment to Brian Gutekunst's laptop and or phone message to Nashville to have him selected. I'm so pumped. Hey, good, me too. Nagler's back, Thrones is back, there's no doubt. No Thrones spoilers, please. I can only control what I can control. I can't control what people put in the comment section, so you won't get any here. But I would avoid the comments, because you never know. Oh, I've had this asked of me before. If you could never watch a Star Wars movie again, or never watch a Packers game again, what's your choice? Are we talking about in the future, like Packers games to come? Because that's easy. I would stop watching Star Wars, because I know that story very well, the conclusion of which is coming this December as far as the Skywalker saga goes. But for Packers games, I don't know what's going to happen in the future. They're going to be live and amazing. I'm all in on that. What up, Aaron from Dallas, Texas? What's up from New York City? How you doing? Dan Leisher is here. Dan Leisher is here. Oh, what a special day. For those of you who are unaware, Dan and I met in North Carolina. He was the Chewbacca to my Han Solo. We would go out and party, have a great time. We met watching Packers football. He's a huge Packers fan who lives now in Milwaukee with his wife. Dan is the man, and I'm so happy he's here. Dan was there the night Brett Favre threw the last-second touchdown pass against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which caused me to jump into his arms and then run outside screaming because Brett Favre was the man. Dan, so happy you're here, man. Listen to the Packers. All right, slow down. Although, can I just say, this whole, okay, I understand, today is his supposed drop-dead date for them to get his deal done, etc., blah, blah, blah. Does anyone really think the Seahawks are going to trade him? They're a 5-win team without Russell Wilson. Come on. I don't care who they draft or bring in. Give me a significant break. Well, they're going to get this done. Who was worse, Jar Jar or Anakin? Oh, Jar Jar. By a billion miles. And that's not to diminish Ahmad Best, who I thought did great work trying to bring Jar Jar to life. It's not his fault that George Lucas made the character as horrible as he did. But Disney ruined Star Wars, changed my mind. Go watch Rogue One and Solo. Done. Jeffrey Simmons at 30, if we can't get Oliver. I don't hate that idea, Cliff. I've said a couple times, though, I think the Raiders are going to use one of their first-round picks on him. Will the draft be the team's galvanizing moment we've all been waiting for? Nick, I thought we discussed this. Pretty sure that would be the Bleacher Report article by Ty Dunn. Way too early record prediction. Brendan, it's way too early. Ask me again after the draft. I would cry of happiness if we steal Ed Oliver or Jeffrey Simmons. Oh man. I don't know if I'd cry, but I'd be very happy. Opinion on the Drew Lock visit. Deborah, excellent question. Yes, it was reported this morning. Drew Lock is one of the Packers' 30 pre-draft visits, officially sanctioned by the NFL. It's interesting, no doubt. More than anything, I look at it as them doing their due diligence. They tried to get Daniel Jones in, reportedly as well. That didn't work out for whatever scheduling reasons, but I'd have zero doubt that they are doing due diligence on guys that they undoubtedly like and or have some kind of interest in, maybe not even in this draft, but long term. Guys come into the league and end up on the street and or available in trade all the time. Look no further than Josh Rosen this year. But I think more than anything, and it's funny because I put up a clip on Twitter earlier today, kind of in response to this news, of a question I asked Gutekunst at the Combine, kind of asking about, Ted Thompson's philosophy when he was GM about these pre-draft visits was all very much geared towards the most likely undrafted prospects, guys who were small school guys, slipped through the cracks, guys who maybe not getting as much exposure through the draft process, notably the Combine, etc. Whereas Gutekunst said he got in trouble for bringing in some quarterbacks back when Ted was still GM who were at the Combine. Last year, obviously, used a number of these pre-draft visits on first, potential / expected to be first round type talents. I'm pretty sure that's what this is. Completing their file, so to speak, doing extra work. Now, could it possibly be that he has legitimate interest in drafting him in this draft? Sure, it's possible. I doubt it. I had somewhat of a back and forth with Peter Bukowski about this morning. It's not a move I would make. I don't think Locke is that once-in-a-lifetime type player set to become a franchise signal caller for the next 15 years. If Brian Gutekunst thinks that, he absolutely should take Drew Lock in this draft. And bringing him in, getting some extra time with him, putting him on the board, meeting the staff, etc. It's not a terrible use of one of those, pre-draft visits. More than anything, though, I think it's more fact-finding and box-checking than anything else. That's just my opinion. I'm so sick of all these holdouts. Get it done. What holdouts? What are you talking about? You're talking about Russell Wilson trying to get his just worth? That's not a holdout, sir. Wow, these are going fast. Who is the best Madden player you've ever used? Oh, that's got to be Vic, right? When Vic was on the cover, he was unstoppable. He was like Bo Jackson back in Tecmo Bowl. Like he was absurd. Because Beagles sucked. I don't know what the context is for that, but okay. Interesting comment. Jon Snow or Night King at 12. Got to go with the Night King. I don't think there's any denial. Let's head over to Twitter, shall we? A new way of looking at Twitter. Whoa, there it is. Look at that. Danielle's good, let me tell you that. If Ted Thompson was the general manager last season, does Mike McCarthy still get fired after the Arizona debacle? Jesse, that is an excellent question. I gotta think the answer is no. But Ted wasn't the GM, and he was. Some are high on Hakeem Butler, the wide receiver. I think he is pretty similar to the 3 wide receivers they drafted last year. What do you say? I'd rather draft Andy Isabella. I think Isabella's a fine prospect, and I understand the kind of differentiation of styles and types of players. To me, yes, Hakeem Butler, taller guy. What is he, like 6'5", something like that? 6'3", somewhere in that range. He's a tall dude, much like the guys they drafted last year. But besides the frame, and he's got speed, etc., the one big thing that worries me about Butler is the drops. He's got a ton of drops throughout his college career. You're already trying to bring along a guy who is dealing with drops. Let's not add another one to the mix. That's my thinking. Please, you have to do watch parties next season. Can't handle the idea of listening to the TV broadcast. Oh, Joseph, there's a very good chance we won't be doing watch parties next year, so I'm sorry. But may I suggest, I can't remember the name of the website off the top of my head, but there is a website out there that helps people sync up their local radio call with the national TV broadcast. So I highly recommend seeking that out, because then you can listen to, I was going to say Jim and Max, but it's not Jim and Max. You can listen to Wayne and Rock. You can listen to their call while you watch the game. That's highly recommended from me. All the draft extravaganza and Rodgers McCarthy drama is taking a toll on me. Can't you tell a funny/interesting tale from your time on the beat? I think everyone would welcome the change of pace. Adam, I don't have anything off the top of my head, but I will recount a time at the Detroit Westin at the end of the year when it was very apparent that something was up. And nobody on the beat we didn't quite know what it was. This was the year, Dom Capers' last year. And it was the end of the season. And we were all in the hotel bar. And by all of us, I meant most of the beat, most of the guys you follow on Twitter. And then all the Packers had a team meeting, a coaches meeting. And then all of a sudden, basically the entire coaching staff comes walking into the bar. And everyone just saying, you see these people throughout your time, and you say, hi, what's up, blah, 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 blah. And Alex Van Pelt starts buying everybody shots and starts talking to the reporters specifically, all the beat, and starts talking about, you guys are so good at what you do. You guys have always been fair to me. Thanks so much for all you do, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I remember looking at Rob Domofsky, and I was like, did he just get fired? And Rob looked at me and was like, I don't know, something's up, right? And we were both like, something's up. And that was the first clue I had about Van Pelt probably being out the door. And of course, that's not something I'm ever going to tweet out, but that was kind of the beginning of, all right, there's going to be some significant shakeups this offseason. And lo and behold, there were. That's just off the top of my head as far as stuff from the beat that maybe you find interesting that isn't McCarthy-Rodgers drama or NFL draft related. You're welcome. Matthew, 2 quick questions. 1, even with the new defensive coordinator in Chicago, does Amos provide something for our offense to use against the Bears? Number 2, can this season be considered a success without a deep run/Super Bowl win? Whew, a lot to unpack there. Well, first of all, Matthew, not so much to unpack on that first one. Not a whole lot. There's a totally new coordinator. Maybe he gives him some tendency stuff for some of his ex-teammates, but as far as scheme goes, I think it'll be pretty different. And as for your second question, can this season be considered a success without a deep run Super Bowl win? For me, yeah. If they have a winning record, that's a success. I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but these last 2 years have really sucked. I'd love to get back to winning football games. I'd be fine with that in my book. Now, would I prefer a deep run Super Bowl win? Yeah, of course. But let's win some football games. That's where I'm at. Let's go back over to this live chat. I don't even have to swivel too far. Look at this. Pretty amazing. 10 days. 10 days, people. Have I ever eaten a Gilbert Brown burger? Matthew, no, I have not. Although I have seen them, and they scare me. Stay away from Metcalf. John, all players have value. At some point, if he drops, there's a point in which I think his value probably becomes too much to pass up. But I tend to agree, yes. I don't like the idea of using a first-round pick on him. Dillard at 12, we need offensive tackle most. I think they need an offensive tackle for the future, no doubt, with Brian Bulaga set to enter the last year of his contract. I don't think they're in any way, shape, or form pushed by need to absolutely 100% having to take any position. I would argue that safety is a much bigger need than offensive tackle at this point. And, I don't think they should just blow the 12th overall pick on a guy who's probably not worth that pick. I love the new look in the background. Thank you very much. You can thank Danielle. She did a great job, one of our LiveX producers, putting it together. More bells and whistles on the way. She's really the only reason any of this works. Is 12 too early to draft a Bulaga replacement, Scott? That's what we were just talking about. I don't think so. I don't think you need to. I don't think you have to be boxed in by the idea that you need to do it. But if the player is there, and they have a first round, first tier grade on him, yeah, absolutely. I think that's probably a good idea. Metcalf at 114 sounds great. Exactly. Any chance we draft a quarterback? I think there's an outside one. I think, obviously, I'd probably guess it'd be a late round selection. But again, if there's a guy that Gutekunst absolutely falls in love with, yeah, it's absolutely a possibility. Do I think that will happen? No, it feels a year too early. But you never say never. You never know. Is it true that Jair wasn't brought in for a pre-draft visit? If yes, how important are these visits? It is very true. Jair was not only not brought in for a pre-draft visit, he hardly had any contact with the Packers whatsoever prior to the draft last year. So, you know, what do the pre-draft visits mean? It's important. I think it's good to look at them. It's good to kind of gauge interest and look at what kind of positions they're looking at. But ultimately, it's really just them doing homework on guys, and it's not necessarily indicative of interest. Now, they have gone on and selected guys who they have had in the past, but they've also, as the Jair example points out, selected guys, especially in the first round, who they have barely spoke to. So that's I say that all the time. You got to be careful with what you're reading into when it comes to the pre-draft visits. They are mostly, not all, but mostly the team doing homework on the prospects. R.I.P. Forrest Gregg, the best Packers head coach of all time. All right, slow down. One of, if not the best offensive lineman of all time for the Packers, no doubt. Head coach, well, that was a dark time. Although some of those late hits from his teams on the Bears always still kind of make me laugh. Why no watch parties, Nags? Mike, it's a long kind of explanation here. Short version is the ROI isn't big enough, good enough for us here at Cheesehead TV. I probably get the same, if not more, mileage out of a post-draft or a post-game chat. And plus, as Rachel, Corey's girlfriend, said so eloquently, I didn't get to this point in life to watch the game on mute. And when she said that, Corey and I kind of looked at each other and went, oh, damn, she's kind of right. It's not that it's not fun. We have a blast doing it. But, I think as far as the website goes and getting the most bang for our buck, especially here in the studio, a post-game chat goes a lot further, for us anyway. Could QB interest foster a trade down a spot or two? William, absolutely. And that's another thing. Don't put the idea of subterfuge, as Ted Thompson used to call it. That is not out of the realm of possibility when it comes to trying to generate the idea that the Packers might be interested in one of these quarterbacks and a team jumping up either to 12 or more likely to 30 if one of these guys drops. That first round selection carrying the fifth round option contract-wise is very enticing when a quarterback gets down there in the late stages of the first round. Giannis for slot receiver, nice. Is it unusual that we play two regular season opponents in the preseason? I can't remember seeing that ever in recent years. Mike, I'm with you. They've done it before where they've had a single team that they are going to face in the regular season and they've met them in the preseason. I can't remember a team ever, Packers or no, facing two teams in the preseason that they are then going to turn around and face in the regular season. I'm with you. I can't remember it. I wouldn't be surprised if the draft ends up sucking. Juju, man, that is some serious power of positive thinking right there. Thank you for joining the chat. Can you talk more about Greedy? Katie, yes, I can. For those of you who may have or may not have taken a listen to the new Pack-A-Day podcast, where Andy Herman threw together a ton of information and content with a bunch of people who cover and or are fans of basically all the NFL teams, and put together a mock draft, which fell to me to make the Packers selection, and I selected Greedy Williams simply because if you listen to it, I talked about how if the board fell the way it fell in that mock, I would not be surprised to see Gutekunst try to move back. But since that wasn't an option in that exercise, I took Greedy Williams over a couple of other guys that I think people were maybe expecting there. But to me, it became pretty clear that he was the best player left on the board. And, for Greedy Williams, he's a ball hawking type corner who, with Kevin King not being able to stay on the field so far in his young career, Josh Jackson's showing some of the issues that we saw last season. Tramon Williams getting up there in age. Jair Alexander having a very promising rookie year, but not exactly ready to be Darrelle Revis in his prime. And you look at the way the defensive coordinator, Mike Pettin, utilized cornerbacks throughout the season. You can't have enough good ones. You can't have enough talented ones. This day and age, you got quarterbacks throwing for 500 yards. You got, wide receivers, you're not allowed to hit them, not allowed to impede them, not allowed to light them up anymore, blah, blah, blah. With the intimidation factor somewhat taken away, I want guys who can cover, and I want guys who can disrupt the pass, and I want guys who can take the ball away. It's another area where the Packers came up woefully short last year when it comes to intercepting the football. Greedy helps in all of those ways. And I'm not saying that, even if they did make that selection, and I don't think the board will fall the way it did in that mock, but even if that were the case, I think it would be an excellent addition to the football team. You want to get as many good football players on your team as possible. I listened to that podcast today. It feels like 15 teams want to move back in the first. I think it's likely we are put in that chance. You never know, Mike. I mean, yes, they're always looking to move back. The surprise is always when they jump up, especially when it comes to the Packers. Crosby needs some competition. I agree with that. Field Yates saying they got a kicker. There you go. Oh, Craig, that's very nice of you. I'm going to take you. I don't know. Oh, I think my name kind of makes it happen. But yes, please support us on Patreon if you get the chance. $5 a month. Support fancy new graphics like this. Everything Danielle does back there in the control center, putting us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Hulu, Apple TV. I don't know, I'm making stuff up now. But if you can, kick in $5 a month. It supports everything Cheesehead TV does, and you get access to my exclusive podcast, Naglers Never Right. And hey, draft is coming up in 10 days. If you're in New York City, join me for day 3. I'll be at Kettle of Fish watching the entire third day. Come have a beer, talk some Packers, talk some draft. We're going to have a good time, get drunk while we're doing it. As far as the first night of the draft, round 1, I'll be here with a couple friends. Corey will be in the control room. We're going to be your second screen for Packers fans everywhere. We'll be talking to Andy Herman when the Packers make their selections. Hope you'll have it here on the Cheesehead TV YouTube channel. Speaking of the Cheesehead TV YouTube channel, subscribe, because then not only will you know when we're going live on night 1, but night 2, Andy and his merry band of draftnicks will be diving deep into the NFL draft and all the Packers selections. That'll be a nerd-tastic night for draftnicks everywhere, so make sure subscribe to the Cheesehead TV channel. Please, I beg you. Thanks so much for all the questions. I'm sorry if I couldn't get to yours. They do fly by rather fast. Thanks so much. I'll talk to you guys. I'll be back doing a daily on Wednesday. I'll be back with extra cheese tomorrow. In the meantime, subscribe, people. Thanks a lot. Have a good night.